This is a new and exciting way to fail. Hello, friends and enemies. Welcome to Horror and Inconvenience, where things are usually spooky and always weird. Today, I've made a little announcement video. Well, I say I have made. I'm making it right now. So that was imprecise language. Pay attention to your verb tenses, kids. But I am announcing that I am going to take part in Criminali's Read What You Own challenge. This is an update of last year's 100 book challenge, which was essentially a book buying ban until you read 100 books. That was a little bit more of a rough challenge. The Read What You Own challenge, I think, is something that I have a higher chance of completing because it comes in tiers. So there is the 100 book tier, as well as the 50 book, but I'm going to be selecting the bronze tier of 25 books. Basically, the challenge is not to buy any new books until I have read 25 of the books I already own. Which will be fine, because it's not like I work at a bookstore. So there's a set of kind of generally accepted rules for this challenge, and then we make adjustments based on our own reading habits or how we want to challenge ourselves. So there are going to be a few exceptions. Obviously, you can still accept books as gifts during this ban. It would be super weird if you couldn't, especially at this time of year. A lot of people are also still accepting advanced readers' copies, and I'm definitely one of those because, again, I work at a bookstore. It's part of my job. Also, I like it. I like feeling like I'm in on something that not everybody has. I like the exclusivity of it. I also have intense FOMO, which I think is going to be my biggest issue with this challenge. And why I suspect that what it's going to turn into for me is speed reading 25 books in like a month so that I can get past the challenge and buy more books. I'm an addict. So there's one feature that I've stolen from MJ at Reading This Life, which is that I'm going to pause my Kindle Unlimited subscription. Honestly, this is probably a good thing for me because I don't use it that much. I have a difficult relationship with ebooks, and it will probably be a really productive way to save money. Now, what I do like about Kindle Unlimited is that it allows me a kind of background access to a pretty large library, which, I use occasionally to research certain topics. So if that comes up, I don't know, I'll make a video about it. Again, I suspect I'm either going to speed through this challenge or fail it. I'm obviously going to give it the old college try because I think it's a great idea, but I'm trying not to set my expectations too high because as a recovering honors student, I don't want to do that to myself. So I've decided I won't pause my Audible subscription during this, even though I do have downloaded books that I haven't listened to yet. Basically, this is going to be an outlet for me because I use Audible mostly to listen to nonfiction, which means every month I tend to pick up one of the buzzier nonfiction titles that's around through Audible, and I think this might end up being a release valve for my intense book FOMO. So I will continue to use my Audible subscription and use my credits. I just won't count any books I listen to that I've newly acquired on Audible toward the challenge. The other exception I have set up here is Book club books and buddy read books, I will try to get them through the library or otherwise if I can. But if I need to, I will still buy them. I just won't count them toward the challenge if I buy them. So there has been some debate on this over what counts as one book. Does a slim poetry volume or play count? Does manga count? Do rereads count? That sort of thing. So I've made an executive decision that one book is whatever's bound between the covers, whether that's a whole anthology or, a novella or short stories separately bound. I'm hoping that this will challenge me to read some of the anthologies I have, and also to read. I have a lot of unread plays and poetry books sitting around, and it seems like a crime. I mean, I tend to build my library, as a recovering academic and someone who comes from an academic family. I believe that collecting books you think you'll need access to in the future and keeping them in a home library, it's a pretty big part of my identity, and I believe it can be useful, especially if you're like me and you tend to give yourself research topics on occasion to deep dive into things. It's nice if you have the stuff. So I don't think it's a waste that I own these things, but this maybe will give me a kick to actually read them, which is good. I like that about this challenge. Um, but yeah, so I have a couple of anthologies that actually have whole novels bound inside them, and I am going to not count just the novel as one book. I'm going to count the whole anthology. For instance, I have this anthology of 3 classic African American novels edited by Henry Louis Gates Jr. Um, and it includes The Marrow of Tradition by Charles W. Chestnut, which is one of the great novels of Reconstruction and how the dream of Reconstruction was thwarted by white supremacy. And it's supposed to be just an incredible read. It also includes Clotel, or The President's Daughter, by William Wells Brown. That one I have started but not finished. And it's a sentimental narrative about an enslaved woman who is the daughter of Thomas Jefferson. It's great so far, no notes. It also includes Iola Leroy by Frances E.W. Harper, who's a really foundational Black woman writer. And yeah, these are all books that I need to have read because I live in this country. And so things like this, I'm hoping that I'll be able to push myself both to finish chunkers like this and to read some of the slim volumes I've had sitting around for ages. That's my hope. Will I cheat on my goals in order to try to finish this challenge? Yes, absolutely. I am sure that there will be a complete descent into chaos here, but I'm hoping. I've also decided rereads will definitely count, because I think another part of this challenge that's really appealing to me is instead of getting distracted by what's new and exciting, that I can kind of sit with what I have, and that can include revisiting some of my favorite books. So, yeah, a reread, as long as I reread the full thing, will count. And with my rereads, I do tend to pick up chunks and just reread the scene I'm thinking about at the moment. For instance, with Jane Eyre, I couldn't tell you how many times I've read that book because there are definitely scenes I've read more than other scenes. There are chunks I pick up to remind myself what happened or to relive a moment I find particularly enjoyable. So full rereads will count toward the challenge. And then finally, I do have a rule that I have created to add to this, which is that DNFs will count toward this challenge. if I give them an honest chance and if I then get rid of the book after DNFing it. Um, I'm not great at DNFing. In fact, I'm kind of working toward making a video about unread books as part of my reading habit. Um, I'm going to be honest, the real issue here is that I have to show you a bunch of my bookshelves for this video, and that means that I have to clean a lot of things. And, you know, the executive function, it comes and goes. But I'll get around to it at some point. Um, but I tend to hang on to books I haven't finished for often years and years, and it takes me a very long time to decide I'm not going to finish something. So I'm hoping that by creating this rule, I can encourage myself to let go of some books I know I'm never going to get to, or even just books I've decided aren't worth my time, um, and that I can actually get them out of my house. Uh, so that I think could end up being a real boon. Like I said, I'm taking the 25 book tier here because I don't know how this is going to go for me. I have a feeling it's going to bring a lot of good things, but I also work at a bookstore. I see every new book before it comes out. It's very hard to pass by some of them. I'm also involved in a lot of book clubs in my personal life, and there's one I occasionally run for work, and it's just a lot. So we'll see, but I'm gonna do my best because I really like the idea of this challenge, and I think it's gonna bring some good things. So that's my announcement. I am joining the Read What You Own challenge by Criminali. I guess keep me in your thoughts. Don't pray for me. I'm allergic to that. It's like when I smell nutmeg. I just kind of get a little itching in my throat. Don't pray for me, but keep me in your thoughts. We'll see if we can do this. Yeah. So the Read What You Own challenge, bronze tier, 25 books until I can buy another new book, starts now.